One of the quickest points of frustration for many new animators is becoming comfortable with effectively being able to navigate around in the four windows that make up a 3D program's interface. To avoid both pulling out your hair and mistakenly sharing your vocabulary with neighbors, it's going to be vital that you become comfortable with working in your viewports as soon as possible. You see, the viewports are basically your windows into your 3D world, and your ability to navigate both yourself and the things that you build within those windows is going to be essential. The number of viewports usually total 4, though that layout can easily be changed. Each window displays your scene from a different direction, with each viewport's orientation listed in the upper left-hand corner of that view. So starting on the top right, we have our front view. Over on the top left, you've got your top view. Then on the bottom left, you've got your left-hand window. These three windows serve as 2D representations of your 3D scene. Sometimes those views are referred to as either orthogonal or ortho. Down on the lower right side, you'll find your perspective view, which is more of a true three-dimensional view as you can see all three directions within your scene. Something to remember is that it's going to be important for you to keep your eyes looking in and scanning around all four windows. It's very similar to the way that you drive a car. Think how many things you'd miss, or yet worse hit, if not taking advantage of all four of your vehicle's windows. Viewports work the same way. Keep your eyes on them all, as objects in your scene might look right from one direction or orientation, but all whacked out in another. You can only work in one viewport at a time, the viewport that's currently active being represented by a light yellow band around its border. Any mouse can be used to activate a view, but get in the habit of specifically using the right mouse button when selecting your window to work in. The reason why will become evident when we get to our discussion on selecting a little later on in the title. The size of each view can be controlled by positioning your cursor where the viewports come together, then dragging to one side or another. To reset the layout, simply put your cursor back on top of where the viewports come together, right-click, then choose Reset Layout. Each of the views has a series of controls for that view in the upper left-hand corner of its window. Drop-down menus for each viewport control can be accessed by clicking on the specific category name with either the left or the right mouse button. Under the plus sign, you can maximize a view having it go full screen. You can activate other views. You can disable a particular window, turn that viewport's grid on and off, and change the overall layout. Under the name of the view, you can quickly change to any of several other window orientations. Here we'll go to the top, then back to the front. In the category farthest to the right, you have your viewport shading options, being able to change the way the objects in that view display. Here's the way things would look in shaded mode. Now there's a keyboard shortcut for that you ought to remember, it's F3. Another viewport shading option is edged faces. With this, you'll have not just the surface displayed, but also the edges on your geometry. Keyboard command there, F4. There's also a neat display called Stylized. Let's choose the color pencil. Not something that I frankly see you working with all the time, but it's kind of neat the way it looks. Let's take our front view back to wireframe by typing F3. In changing the direction a viewport displays a scene, you actually have a shortcut option on your keyboard. The option is simply to type the first letter of the viewport direction that you want to change to. So having our front view active, if we type T, we'll change to the top view. And we can go back to the front view by simply typing F. Down in the lower right-hand corner of the interface, you'll find 2 rows of window navigation commands that help in controlling what's seen in your viewports. These controls should be one of the very first things you commit to memory, as they'll help substantially in navigating around your 3D world. Let's start on the top row with the far left icon. The name of the command is Zoom. We'll click the button, then in the front view, put our mouse right in the middle of our viewport. Now hold the left mouse down, pulling back will zoom out, pushing forward will zoom in. You can cancel out of this and many other commands in Macs by simply holding the left mouse down and right-clicking. Zooming in and out, by the way, can also be done by rolling the middle mouse wheel. To the right of the Zoom command, you have Zoom All. Where Zoom works in only the viewport that you have active, Zoom All will zoom in and out in all 4 views. To the right of that is Zoom Extent selected. Now, this one's especially handy if you first select the object that you'd like to move in on. I've selected the green glass on top of the table. With that object now selected, watch what happens when I click on the icon. The active window zooms specifically in on my selected object. Now, if no objects are selected in the scene, Zoom Extent Selected will work on all of your geometry. The last icon on the top row is Zoom Extents All Selected. Like the Zoom All icon, notice the icon picture itself represents 4 windows, which will hopefully give you the reminder that it works in all 4 views. With the cup reselected, let's go ahead and try that. Deselecting the cup, then clicking the icon again, centers all 4 views. Down on the bottom row, you have the Zoom Region command. This gives you the opportunity of drawing a window around the area that you'd like to zoom in on. Once I'm done with my close-up work, I can then type Z to get back out. To the right of Zoom Region, you have Pan. This gives you the opportunity of sliding side by side and up and down in the way that you're viewing the window. Again, I'll right-click to cancel. By the way, the Pan command also takes advantage of the middle wheel, this time not by rolling it, but by simply pushing the wheel down. The command to the right of Pan is your Orbit function. This serves to swing around your view. Let's activate the perspective view and we'll use it there. Now, a couple different ways this works. If you put your mouse in the middle of the yellow ring that shows up, you'll be swinging around the middle of the ring. I'll right-click to cancel. You'll also see little squares at 12, 3, 9, and 6 o'clock. Grabbing that square will lock you down into either going up and down or left to right. Putting your mouse outside the ring serves to orbit a different way. Now, the Orbit command also comes with a very special shortcut key. This is one you're going to want to use, so commit to memory the keyboard shortcut Alt middle mouse wheel. You'll be holding both down as you orbit. The last icon on the bottom row in the far right position is the Maximize Viewport toggle. Use this when you want to take your active view going from 4 screens up to one big one. This too has a keyboard shortcut Alt W. You also have a handy little icon in the upper right-hand corner of each view called the View Cube, which enables you to quickly navigate between various scene orientations all within a single view. Here we can go to the front, the top. You can also click on Home at the upper left-hand corner of the View Cube to return to your 3-way orientation. Finally, on the far left side is a new feature in 2013 called the Viewport Layout tabs. Clicking on the arrow gives you a handful of popular screen layouts that you can choose from. When selected, your window configuration will automatically change to your selection. You can then quickly go back and forth from one layout to another by simply clicking on the appropriate icon. If wanting to remove a layout from the list, simply right-click on that icon and choose Delete Tab. So that'll give you a quick overview of working in the views. Now, here's the important things to remember. You can only work in one viewport at a time, and that's the one that's active. You can activate a viewport with any mouse button, but get in the habit of using the right mouse button. And when working in your viewports, make sure to keep your eyes moving across all the views and not get locked down to working in or using just one. You practice up and keep those suggestions in mind, and you'll be on your way to getting the most out of your viewports.